Welcome to the AXA Engineers Podcast, episode 24. Today we're diving deep into a topic that's, well, it's pretty critical for anyone in land development: civil engineering outsourcing. And look, this isn't just about, pinching pennies. It's really about a fundamental strategic shift. It can redefine how you approach projects, how you manage risk, really change the game.
Indeed. We've got a really good exploration ahead of us today. We're going to look at some of those maybe often unseen challenges of the traditional in-house models and reveal why a more flexible approach to getting that civil engineering expertise, well, it's becoming the hallmark of agile, profitable development firms.
Absolutely. We'll be uncovering the crucial insights, things to help you gain knowledge quickly but thoroughly, spot those aha moments, but hopefully avoid that feeling of information overload. Before we jump in, though, just a quick request. If you find this deep dive valuable, please hit that follow button on your podcast platform and maybe leave us a comment or review. We really do love hearing your thoughts, and honestly, it helps us bring more insights your way.
It really does. That feedback is gold. Okay, shall we dive in?
Wow.
The deep dive: civil engineering outsourcing as a strategic advantage.
The hidden costs and critical gaps of the traditional in-house model.
Okay, let's unpack this. As a developer, you're constantly juggling financial risk, right? We've all felt that sting, I think. Project delays, eating into profits, maybe the headache of trying to find really specialized civil engineering talent for some niche task.
Or even just that nagging feeling that your top people aren't fully busy all the time. It's fascinating here, and you touched on it, is that many developers might be paying for, expensive civil 3D licenses, top-tier engineers, and they just aren't fully utilized between projects or even between phases.
Right.
This is such a common yet often sort of unaddressed source of inefficiency, a quiet drain.
So what does this all mean for that conventional model, the one for land development that, traditionally promotes an in-house engineering team as this symbol of stability?
Well, that structure, while it appears stable, maybe even feels solid, it actually creates a significant and often unexamined financial liability. The core issue, really, is establishing this high baseline of fixed operational costs, costs that just persist.
Regardless of how much work is actually coming through the door.
Exactly. Regardless of project volume or, workflow intensity. That's the trap. 1.2, the financial trap. Fixed costs versus variable workload.
Let's look at the numbers a bit. Think about it. A salaried civil engineer, maybe a land planner too, and then the associated high-cost software subscriptions, things like Autodesk Civil 3D or maybe GIS platforms. These represent really substantial sunk costs, money already spent or committed.
And these aren't just like one-time investments you make and forget about, are they?
Precisely. That's the key. These expenses don't just vanish during the inevitable lulls between project phases. Think about that long period during entitlement acquisition, for example, or just waiting for municipal approvals. Those can stretch out.
Yeah, months sometimes. Right. And this discrepancy, this gap between the constant cost outflow and the variable workload, well, that's the primary source of financial inefficiency in the traditional model.
So underutilization isn't just a possibility. It's almost baked into this system. It's a certainty during those periods.
Absolutely. The development firm continues to carry the full financial weight of its team. You're paying for availability, essentially.
Not necessarily for direct value-generating productivity.
Exactly. You're paying for them to be there, not always for what they're doing right then. And that is the financial trap. 1.3. The true burden of an in-house engineer.
Okay, here's where it gets maybe even more interesting, or perhaps more concerning, depending on your perspective. We often think of an employee's cost as just their base salary, right? That's the big number we focus on.
That's the visible part of the iceberg.
But the true cost, the full burden, it extends far beyond that base number, doesn't it?
Oh, significantly. A fully burdened cost analysis, when you actually do one, reveals a much more accurate and often, frankly, startling financial picture. So to that base salary, you absolutely must add mandatory payroll taxes, things like Social Security, Medicare contributions, employer side.
Okay, standard stuff.
Yeah.
And then there are the benefits, right, which are pretty much essential these days to get good people.
Exactly. Employee benefits packages. They typically encompass, health insurance premiums, which can be huge, especially for families, retirement plan contributions like a 401k match, paid time off vacation, holidays, sick days. That's all costs.
Right. You're paying them when they're not working on a project.
And then you've got workers' compensation insurance, maybe professional development, training budgets to keep skills sharp. Plus, don't forget the prorated cost of just having them there. Physical office space, utilities, IT support. That powerful computer they need, the software licenses again.
Wow, okay, that adds up fast. What kind of increase are we typically talking about, roughly? On top of that base salary,
Cumulatively, all these ancillary costs. They frequently increase the actual expense of an employee by, say, 30 to 50%, sometimes even more.
30 to 50%. Yep.
Yep, so think about an engineer with a base salary of, let's say, $120,000. In reality, they might represent an annual liability much closer to $168,000, or even higher in some areas. And this hidden overhead, it just acts as this constant drag on profitability, quietly eating away.
So it's a fixed liability
Yeah.
sitting there on the balance sheet. And it simply cannot be scaled down when project activity dips. It fundamentally limits a firm's financial agility, its ability to react. 1.4. The capability gap, operational risk and specialization.
And this financial inflexibility, this locked-in cost structure, it's compounded by another risk, one that's maybe less obvious but just as critical. It's what we could call the capability gap.
Capability gap.
Yeah, so a small, permanent in-house team, even a really good one, they're likely proficient in general site design, planning, the everyday stuff, but they might lack the, let's say, hyper-specialized knowledge required for some of the increasingly complex land development challenges we see today.
Right. Things are getting more complicated, not less.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples? What kind of niche expertise needs are we talking about?
Certainly. Think about navigating the permitting process in a historically sensitive district. That requires a whole different level of understanding specific rules, maybe even negotiation skills.
Okay, yeah, tricky.
Or designing a low-impact development, an LID stormwater system to meet tough new environmental regulations. That's not just standard pipe design anymore.
Sure.
It's ecology, it's hydrology.
It's real specialists.
Absolutely. Or maybe performing advanced geotechnical analysis for a site with really difficult soil conditions. You need someone who really understands that specific science.
And relying on a generalist team, even a talented one, for requirements that specialized. Well, that sounds risky.
It introduces significant project risk, no question. It could potentially lead to design flaws, maybe costly rework down the line, or just extended approval timelines that kill your schedule.
So you end up paying more anyway, just in delays or fixes.
Exactly. And this creates a difficult paradox, doesn't it? The very organizational structure, your in-house team that's intended to provide stability and control, it simultaneously introduces this profound financial inflexibility and potentially critical gaps in technical capability. It's trying to solve one problem, but creating others.
Point 5.
Yeah.
Quantifying inefficiency. The $112 per hour reality.
Okay, to really hammer this home, to illustrate this efficiency gap, let's try and quantify it, put a real number on it.
Right. Let's go back to that senior project engineer example.
Yeah.
We said their fully burdened annual cost might be around $168,000.
Yeah.
Now, nominally, they have about 2,080 available work hours per year. That's your standard 40 hours a week times 52 weeks.
Okay.
But here's the crucial part. Not all of those hours are billable. Not all are dedicated to productive project work that moves the needle. Right. So you factor in vacation time, holidays, sick leave. Then there's administrative tasks, internal meetings, mandatory training, maybe just catching up on emails. What's the real productive time you're getting? How much does that 2,080 shrink?
Well, the actual number of productive, truly project-focused hours might realistically drop to around 1,500, maybe even a bit less in some cases.
Wow, that's a big drop. Almost 600 hours less.
It is. So now, take that total cost, the $168,000, and divide it by those 1,500 productive hours. What do you get? The effective internal cost for this engineer's productive time is $112 per hour.
$112 per productive hour.
That's the number.
That figure, it represents the actual cost the company incurs for every single hour of productive work generated. So the firm is paying for the full 2,080 hours of availability, but only really realizing value from, what, maybe 70–75% of that time, if that.
Exactly. And this disparity, it just underscores the core problem of the traditional in-house model. It forces a developer to invest in static availability, not dynamic productivity. And this fundamental inflexibility, well, that's the financial trap that agile, forward-thinking development firms are now strategically dismantling. They see this number and they want a better way.
Civil engineering outsourcing. The strategic shift to on-demand expertise.
So we've painted a picture, maybe a slightly bleak one, of the hidden costs and the capability gaps in the traditional model. What does this all mean for developers looking for a smarter way forward? There has to be a solution to this in-house paradox, right?
There is, and it requires Really, a fundamental shift in perspective, a different way of thinking about engineering resources. It means viewing civil engineering expertise not as a fixed internal department, with desks and benefits and all that, but as a variable on-demand service.
Mm.
Like electricity, almost. You use what you need when you need it.
Okay, I like that analogy.
This approach lets developers convert that significant, often underutilized cost of a permanent team into a flexible asset, something that works for you, not just sits there.
How does this work in practice then? How do you make that shift?
Well, by engaging external engineering partners on a project basis, maybe through a firm specializing in civil engineering outsourcing, developers essentially eliminate those fixed overheads we just spent time dissecting. The salaries, the benefits, the expensive software licenses, maybe even some office space costs.
You're only paying for the work done.
Exactly. You're paying only for productive work, for specific deliverables, for outcomes, not just for someone's time, regardless of output. 2.2. Unlocking capital and enhancing financial agility with AXA engineers.
That sounds like a huge financial advantage. I mean, when you start adding up this number, we talked about that $168,000 burden cost, for example.
It's transformative. Honestly, it is. This shift frees up significant capital that was previously locked into that fixed overhead. And that freed up capital can then be used for growth activities. Things like land acquisition, being able to jump on a good deal.
Or marketing, accelerating sales.
Absolutely. Or even just accelerating project phases to get to market faster. It directly aligns your costs with revenue-generating tasks, and that significantly enhances financial agility, your ability to pivot, to invest, to grow.
So a partner like, say, AXA Engineers, they effectively enable you to move from having this static cost center to making a dynamic investment in growth. Is that a fair way to put it?
That's a perfect way to put it. You're shifting from funding availability to investing in progress. That's the power of strategic civil engineering outsourcing. 2.3, addressing concerns, quality, communication, and control in outsourcing.
Now, okay, I can imagine some developers hearing this and maybe hesitating a bit. Concerns over quality control, communication, maybe a perceived loss of oversight when the team isn't right down the hall. These feel like natural concerns, right? How are those addressed?
They're absolutely valid concerns,
Yeah.
and any reputable civil engineering outsourcing provider needs to address them head on. Successful outsourcing isn't, just blindly transferring responsibility and hoping for the best. Not at all.
It needs structure.
Exactly. It's a structured managed process.
Ah.
Professional outsourcing firms, and I'd certainly put AXA engineers in this category, we address these concerns through really clear agreements, defined workflows, strong communication protocols. It's about partnership.
So what does a typical project journey look like with an outsourcing partner then? Walk me through it.
Typically, projects kick off with a really detailed meeting. Get everyone on the same page, objectives, scope, deliverables, timelines, how we'll communicate. Then you move into cycles. Cycles of design, internal quality control by the outsourcing team. That's crucial.
So they check their own work first.
Absolutely. Rigorous internal QC. Then it comes to the client for feedback and review. Then finalization. This iterative process ensures the client remains firmly in control and that the deliverables consistently meet both the technical specs and the business requirements. 2.4, mitigating risk with pilot projects, a low commitment start.
Okay, that process sounds reassuring. But for those still feeling a bit cautious, maybe about making a big switch all at once, is there a way to sort of dip their toes in the water first before fully committing to civil engineering outsourcing?
Absolutely. And that's often a really smart way to start. To mitigate the perceived risks of a new partnership, a pilot project offers a fantastic, low-commitment, high-impact starting point.
A pilot project. Okay, how does that work? What does that look like?
Well, by commissioning a focused, well-defined task, maybe something like a feasibility study for a new site you're considering, or perhaps just developing the initial site plan for a smaller project, or even just one specific design element, like a grading plan or utility layout for a bigger job.
Something manageable.
Exactly. Something manageable but meaningful. It allows the developer to evaluate the technical capabilities firsthand, assess the communication style, see how responsive the team is, and critically, build trust before scaling up the engagement.
And financially, what's the impact?
Financially, it replaces that potential fixed cost of maybe $168,000 plus for an in-house engineer with targeted project-based fees just for that specific task. It unlocks immediate capital liquidity, even on a small scale, and proves the model works. It's a great way to test drive a partnership with a firm like AXA Engineers. 2.5, AXA Engineers, reducing project risk with institutional knowledge.
That really does sound like a smart move, a low-risk way to explore the benefits. But beyond just the cost and flexibility, how does working with a specialized firm, like AXA engineers, specifically help reduce project risk?
Ah, that's a key differentiator. Specialized firms like AXA engineers bring something incredibly valuable to the table. Institutional knowledge. We leverage the knowledge gained from literally thousands of past projects across different regions, different regulations, different challenges.
So you've likely seen something similar before.
Very likely.
Yeah.
This extensive experience enables us to identify potential issues early on. Regulatory hurdles, tricky design challenges, even potential construction headaches. Things that a generalist in-house team, just by virtue of having less breadth of experience, might miss until it's too late.
And catching those things early saves time, money, headaches.
Immensely. It minimizes errors, avoids costly delays, prevents rework before it becomes a costly problem.
So it's really about tapping into this vast pool of collective experience, a sort of hive mind for civil engineering
That's
challenges.
a good way to think about it. It allows you to foresee and prevent problems in a way that's very difficult to replicate internally. It de-risks the whole venture.
Mastering the civil engineering outsourcing partnership, control, value, and strategic growth.
Now, to make sure you maintain both control and get maximum value delivery in a civil engineering outsourcing partnership, the service contract itself becomes a really key governance tool. It's not just legal boilerplate.
It's the rulebook for the relationship.
Precisely. It's the blueprint for how you'll work together.
So what are the absolutely crucial elements that need to be in that contract to make sure everything runs smoothly?
Okay, a few key things. First, you definitely want milestone-based payments. Payments tied directly to the approval of specific deliverables.
Pay for progress, not just time.
Exactly. It aligns incentives beautifully. Second, you need detailed service level agreements, or SLAs. These cover things like turnaround times, quality standards, accuracy. They set clear, measurable expectations.
Holds everyone accountable.
Correct. And third, clearly defined communication protocols. Who talks to whom, how often, what format. Clarity is crucial.
Makes sense. And who is the main point of contact for the developer? Is it confusing trying to reach the right person?
No, it shouldn't be. A dedicated project manager from the outsourcing team, like we provide at AXA Engineers, acts as that single point of contact. They're your go-to person. They streamline all the updates, handle the reviews, manage the flow of information.
So it feels more integrated.
Right. This approach effectively transforms that external partner into a really reliable operational extension of the developer's own team, not just some outside vendor. 3.2. True scalability and reallocating capital with AXA Engineers.
This level of integration, it sounds like it allows for incredible flexibility, real scalability.
Most importantly, yes, it enables true scalability. Imagine needing a large multidisciplinary team for a complex phase of a huge project. Through civil engineering outsourcing, you can engage those resources precisely when needed
And done.
and then scale right back down, potentially even to zero involvement from that specific team once that phase or project is complete, without lingering costs.
Unlike the in-house team who are still on payroll.
Exactly. This flexibility turns what was a fixed operational cost into a dynamic, truly strategic asset. You dial it up, dial it down as needed.
And what does that ultimately mean for a developer's capital? Where does that saved or unlocked money go?
Well, it significantly boosts financial agility. It allows that capital to be redirected towards those growth-focused initiatives we talked about. Land acquisition, project acceleration, market expansion, whatever drives your business forward.
So the smart money move isn't just about cutting costs.
Not at all. It's a much more sophisticated strategy. It's about strategically reallocating financial risk and optimizing how your capital is deployed.
So it's really a pivot, a shift from just funding salaried hours, hoping for productivity, towards investing directly in guaranteed milestone-based outcomes, knowing exactly what you're getting for your investment.
That's the essence of it. Partners like AXA Engineers help make that happen. It's about directing funds towards measurable results, not just covering overhead. Outro.
Wow. What an incredibly insightful deep dive into the really strategic advantages of civil engineering outsourcing. We've seen pretty clearly how that traditional in-house model, even though it feels stable, can hide some significant financial liabilities and operational risks too, often leading to that underutilization problem and those critical capability gaps we discussed.
And hopefully we've highlighted how firms like AXA Engineers offer a really powerful alternative. It's about transforming civil engineering expertise into a variable on-demand service. one that frees capital, boosts financial agility, and actually reduces project risk through specialized knowledge and these structured, reliable partnerships.
Yeah, we explored how that strategic partnership provides the governance you need, the scalability you want, making sure you maintain control while gaining access to top-tier specialized talent exactly when you need it. Not before, not after.
It seems clear, doesn't it? The most agile, the most profitable developers moving forward, they won't necessarily be defined by the size of their in-house payroll, but rather by their mastery of these strategic partnerships, how well they leverage external expertise. That's where the edge will be.
So here's maybe a thought for you, the listener, to take away. What financial liabilities, those hidden costs, are currently limiting your firm's agility right now? And thinking about that $112 an hour number, how much growth capital could you potentially unlock by transforming your civil engineering approach into a dynamic, on-demand asset?
We'd really encourage you to, maybe, perform that true cost analysis of your current model. Look beyond the salary. And contacting a firm like AXA Engineers, maybe just to propose a pilot project like we discussed, well, that's a concrete, low-risk first step. A step towards transforming your financial strategy and your project execution for the better. It's worth exploring.
Absolutely. If this deep dive resonated with you and you're curious about how AXA engineers could empower your next land development project, we encourage you to take that next step. Reach out. And one last time, don't forget, if you enjoyed this deep dive, please follow us, share your thoughts in the comments, leave that review. Your engagement really does help us keep bringing you these valuable insights. Thanks so much for joining us today.